Keep it going. You almost got it. One more time. Slow it down. Okay, there we go. I said she thick with 2 C's. Tired of being humble, so she stopped saying, y'all messing me up, we gonna start over. All right? I know it's a long night. We gonna get it together one more time, all right? Listen to me twice, then jump in. Got it? You got it left side, right side? All right, let's go. Almost. There you go. One more time. I said she thick with 2 C's. Tired of being humble, so she stopped saying please. Every time they see her, wanna bless her like a sneeze. Now she on the scene getting heavy with the sleeves. Y'all good, y'all turned off. All right, cool. Appreciate your friends. Took a lot, I know, I didn't give you the homework. I wanted to see if you wouldn't cheat, but nevertheless, here we are. Growing up, you don't see individuals like me walk into a room and command space. You don't see me command anything but the hopes that you will not see me, as I am super visible, but yet I live in a world that I am very invisible. Being a fat body is not just something that I figured out yesterday. I think I figured it out in 2nd grade when I was in a group of friends and I was the last one that was picked. Now, by the show of hands, how many people have been picked last? Kind of sucks, right? Yeah, it sucks. Until you walk into that space and you actually command it and you do what everybody told you couldn't do. We happened to be outside. We were going to run this race. And I was like, whoa, we're going to do this thing, huh? Right. So in this race, they decided to say, all right, Elise, you go first because we don't know how fast you're going to go. So in my mind, me and these aging knees of mine decided at that time that we're actually going to take over this space. I got to the end of that race first, and I blew everybody's mind in there. Not because I had this super ability or this great talent or this opportunity to show up in spaces that you didn't see bodies like mine, but simply because I was fighting to be seen in a different light. It's crazy when you live in a body that everybody decides to judge. No matter if you're looking on TV or if you're on the internet scrolling through Instagram, everybody has an opinion about you. You know she ain't healthy, right? Salad, she don't like no. I love salad, first of all. Okay, it's great. I ate it today with a spoon. I couldn't find a fork. That was the reason, but it happened. Great kale salad, visit Chop. But nevertheless, I looked in that space and I said, well, what does it mean to exist? For years, I continued to battle with the fact that I was Black, that I was female, that I was fat, that these were intersecting identities that made up the way that I adapted to the world. It was great. You know, you had to either be funny, which not all fat people are funny, but we are fucking funny, okay? We're hilarious. I don't know where it comes from. It just brews in your sleep, but I love it. So nevertheless, I had to get through these tropes and identities in ways that I never thought I could. But it wasn't until I came to Bloomington, Indiana, that I actually had an opportunity to turn that into a scholarship, into research, into something that was more than me standing in a space trying to prove who I was. So I'll backtrack. It wasn't until 2016 when I submitted my application and I refreshed that web page every 10 seconds as if they just didn't get my application 25 minutes ago. I just knew at 3 a.m. they were waiting for my application, so I was going to get an instant response, and I was going to pack up me and my 3 good bras, and we were going to head down here. Now I only have 2 good bras because I lost one of the good bras on my way down here. Sad, bras are expensive when you don't have small breasts, and that is just the reality. But that was something else I started to notice. Everything that I wanted to do was enlarged. It was bigger. It was better. At least that's what I wanted to think. So I remember my 2nd year in my master's program in higher education, student affairs, shout out to Casa. And I was sitting in this space, and my professor at the time was saying, I know all of you are not going to go off to get your doctoral degrees, but you're going to have some type of research interest. What is it going to be? And everybody went around, diversity, equity, inclusion, ending racism, all of the great things that sound like buzzwords. And I said, well, I want to do all of that, but I want to do it from my perspective. So when it came my turn, Dr. Lucy LaPoe said, so Elise, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to research why y'all treat fat people like shit. Nobody said anything. So after class, one of my friends came up to me and said, I don't think you're fat. I said, let me make you mad. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, let me make you mad. And she's like, right now? I was like, no, I don't have anything to make you mad about. But like, think about that. We'll come back and process it next week. Because a lot of times I can be the friendly face in the room, but if I piss you off, I instantly become a fat bitch. So I looked at the identity and I said, well, what are you going to do with it, Elise? Are you going to sit here on it? You've experienced it. But it led me to a group of people. Bloomington, Indiana had never crossed my mind. The only time I crossed through Indiana was when I was on my way to Chicago, and I made it fast through that little 30-minute dip to get to where I had to go. Didn't want to stay there long because I didn't know anything about it. It wasn't until the first day that I had to take that 5.5-hour trip from Detroit by myself to a city that had nobody that I knew. The first thing that I looked up was how many people look like me? Not a lot. So when I sat in that classroom, I had to understand that I was here fighting for something more. It was to end generational poverty. It was for me and my family to finally have the ability to have resources that had been cut for us for years simply because I existed in the body that I existed in. Another sucky story. So fast forward, we had our first party, and I was like, oh, I'm a grad student. I'm going to go to a party, but I'm like 26, so am I like too old to be partying? But I'm like, liquor is age-free. 21 up. Then, it has no limits, unless it's a good summer day in South Carolina and your grandmother gives you wine and you're only like 14. But don't tell anybody because I love my grandmother, and I would hate for her to find that out. Nevertheless, we went to this party, and as we're drinking in this magical elixir of confidence pulsates through our veins, we're having this good time, everybody's partying, I decided to pull out my famous party trick of freestyling, which I tried to show y'all earlier, but we're going to work on that and try it another day. Because it wasn't my fault. I was ready. You guys didn't get the email. But nevertheless, we sat in this party, and as I'm using this ability and captivating people with my story and everybody sitting around waiting for me to say something else, they looked at me and said, why don't you show everybody this? And I said, oh, you didn't hear? Fat people can't do this. Like, you can't be fun. You can't be sweet. You can't be neat. Because everything around me told me that I was incorrect. There was never a chance when I was chosen. But I decided to choose myself. So fast forwarding back to that moment when my professor asked me what I wanted to research, I took that into serious account because when I think about the structure of what beauty looks like in a Northern American context, it never included people who look like me. So I wanted to change that narrative. I enrolled into a doctoral program. I am in my second year, and every single time I write a paper, I write about the individuals who look like us. So I sat in that space and I said, what are you going to do more about it, Elise? You just, you're going to tell people this, and they're going to find a way to say that it's problematic, say that you shouldn't do it. And you found that here, of all places in Indiana. So my goal was move to Bloomington, graduate 2 years, get up out of here, get a job. Here we are on 4 years, and I'm somehow still here in this space that doesn't necessarily have individuals who look like me. But what I learned is that the faculty, the people who come through and transition through this city have taught me so much. The friends that I met, specifically Sydney, we have a group of friends, it's 3 of us, we're called the Grannies. There is the younger person who is TT Granny. There's Granny, which is the second oldest friend, and then myself, which is Spicy Granny, as you see from this shirt. Nevertheless, we had this group, and me and the younger Granny, we decided to go to New Orleans. It was my first time going to New Orleans, never been before. And we sat on this trolley, and at the time, I was 27 years old. From what I could recall, for 27 years, I had never wore a sleeveless shirt. I didn't wear a sleeveless shirt because everybody had ideas about what my arms should look like. You shouldn't wear this, like, oh, you should put them up and you shouldn't do this. And these were words that I heard from external voices that I internalized. Everything that my family was saying about me, I thought was true. Like, oh, I don't want you to do this. And my grandmother was the biggest proponent of it all. But I honestly learned that my grandmother was doing that because she was scared what the world would tell me. They weren't going to be gentle and give me a hug after they told me this. They weren't going to tell me that you're going to go far, you're going to get your degree. They were going to tell me you don't belong, and you should always remember that. And it may not come out that way. So this is ways to come out. You don't see me in magazines. They don't have my size in the store. When I go somewhere, somebody stares. If I do get a salad, it's like, are you sure that's what you want? Those types of things, simple things. So when I went to New Orleans and I sat on this trolley, I decided I wanted to put on a long sleeve black shirt. I walked outside, and before I even was able to get outside, somehow I like transitioned and put on another shirt that was yellow, that was sleeveless, because I was going to die on this trolley in a black shirt in New Orleans in the middle of July. So in that moment, we rode, and I was so uncomfortable. I kept pulling at my shirt, and I'm just trying to hide my arms, and she grabbed my hand, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, like, hell no. Like, I really want to get out of here." And in that moment, she told me, she said, "You have to recognize you're going to have to live this life for you." And when I recognized what she was saying, tears began to stream down my face. And I said, I am going to turn this into doctoral research. I didn't know how. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what it was going to talk about. I just knew that I needed to get a degree that was talking about what I wanted to talk about. So I stand before you as now a 30-year-old woman who has seen that the world will position me in ways that will challenge the creativity that I have, challenge what I define as beauty. And I say to yourself to insert your own narratives there, because from what I know, you only get one life to live. And that also used to be a really good soap opera. My grandmother used to watch it. It was crazy. All my children, we didn't do General Hospital. I don't know why. She said she didn't like it. I didn't like it. So here we are. But once I understood that and I look back at those moments, I had to thank my grandmother for pushing me beyond my own means, for telling me that the critiques that she had was not to limit who I was, but to actually find the beauty in myself. So I leave you today with this thing to say. Every time you step into a mirror, don't find a blemish, because they're there. We know they're there. Find a reason why you keep getting up every single morning, and remember that you matter. And at the end of the day, we're all magical. You have to continue to push forward and know that if nobody else loves you, Spicy Granny does. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elise Smith. Thank you.